And we're back again. Welcome back for the third session of today. It's flying through, isn't it? I'm going to hand over really quickly so that we don't get behind at all. But this is Emily Chorley's session, Advanced Storyline Interactions, Part 1. That's right, she's back again tomorrow. As you can probably see once I get out of the way, this is going to be a really, really cool session. So Emily, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. So I have a few firsts. This is my very first workshop ever. I'm going to take my glasses off because the reflection's really bad. This is my first workshop I've ever done. And not only that, it's my first live one. So I'm super nervous. So if my voice goes a bit strange and everything goes wrong, please bear with me. I will get back to it. So first of all, I am going to teach you how I make my kind of slides in Storyline. This is an example of what I'm going to show you how I do today. So my kind of style is to make everything super exciting, bright, colorful, attention to detail, things happening in the background. So to make this, I use Storyline and Illustrator, and I only use motion paths, and I think it's, yeah, just literally motion paths, no intersect triggers or anything on this one. So the first thing I will do is I will bring up the file, a vector file that I found online, either from Freepik, Shutterstock, all the Vecteezy, loads and loads of free sites out there as well. You can buy premium and get different images. So when you first open up one of these documents, I always go for the EPS, then you'll find it's kind of all stuck together. Now, if you don't know Illustrator very well, I'll give you a super quick breakdown on how we take this apart. So I will right click on the image and I will release the clipping mask, and that will bring up all kinds of extra crazy things. This is all still grouped together, so although it looks separate, you still need to select it all again and right click and then ungroup. From here, if I zoom out a little bit, I will start picking apart the pieces and moving them around the screen till I separate out the pieces that I think, oh, that would be nice for my storyline. I'll often mix and match a few different images and turn them into one. So I won't necessarily use everything from one image. I'll go and find some elsewhere. There's a cute little jellyfish there. We'll have him. And of course, a little fish and the crab. Over here, we've got like a mini Nemo hiding. So if we go back to them, and it's still in one big group. So I'll right click and ungroup that again. And then I'll drag him out. So when I've got all the pieces that I think I want, a couple of boulders as well, and the main background there. The next thing to do is to check out any weird shadows you might have, because there might be some pieces like on this little crab, when we put them on a grey background, look a little bit strange. So I will take the direct selection tool, the little white selector, and I'll just pick up the white bits and then hit the delete key. There's possibly, there's possibly a faster way to do this, but I'm completely self-taught in all these tools I use. So I've just kind of done things by Googling how to do something. And when I'm happy with that, and he's all clean, I will then start selecting all the pieces and I will put them over onto the asset export here. Asset export, I'm not sure how to find that one. I've always got it open in my window, so it's always there. But if you go up to window and then asset export, oh, I've just hidden it. Window, I'll bring it back there. Okay, and then you can just drag your pieces straight over onto there. Or not. Okay, I'm going to right click and collect for export a single asset. So let's just do it that way for a minute. Collect for export. We'll just do it for a few of them because I've actually got them saved elsewhere. Okay, so when you've got them, all the pieces that you want in your asset export area, then you can highlight them all. Or you can rename them if it's going to be easier. So you might say, oh, this one's a sand castle, and then we got little Nemo. Coral and jellyfish. We'll just call them jelly. So highlight all of those, and then you can click export, and that will show you an area where you want to save them. Make sure you save them to a folder that you can find them easy enough. So when you've got all of your pieces for your storyline, then we hop back over to storyline. And here's one I made earlier, but we're going to start a brand new one. I am then going to go insert picture. And excuse me while I find everything I need. And I've already pre-made all the pieces. I have got a zip file with all of this in. It's got the source file, it's got the original Illustrator file, and it's got all these pieces ready made for you to just take away and have a play around and create it yourself. So I tend to, it gets a bit messy, but I will usually just highlight everything and just whack it all in there. And then from here, I do the same thing that I did in Illustrator and just pull everything to the edge so I get a clearer picture of what I've actually got on stage here. And sometimes things are just like, whoa, way too big. So I'll scooch them out the way. This is like a really cool piece, but I'm not sure how to fit that one in, so I might just leave that one out again. Okay, here's my base background. I'm going to keep that one on the screen because I know that one is going to be my main starting point. Okay, I might have brought too many things onto the screen at this point. So let's start with just the border that I want at the back. Now I know things are going to be coming up from in behind and in front. Now this is where it can get confusing because we've got how many pieces on stage at the moment? We've got 35, which is not too bad. Usually I work with, or sometimes I work with like up to the hundreds, and that gets very messy. But here we are going to just pop that one there. I'm just going to pop a little green background in behind as well, because you'll find that sometimes some items still kind of just about show up in behind. And we want to stop that from happening. So I'll start building the scene now, and I think, right, well, I'm going to want a little rock behind there as well. That's already set behind the green boulders there. How about this little set of rocks? That one's stuck behind, but I want that in front. So I just go down to the timeline and I'll drag that to the front. What else do we have? The castle. Now the castle I've already decided is going to pop up from in behind. So, but I also need to look at where the boulder is because I want it to come behind the green, but I want it to be in front of the rock. And as it stands, that actually looks like it's in the right place because if I move it up, oops, up and down and side to side, that's definitely good. So my first thing to do is to kind of place everything on the scene. I don't tend to mess around with the triggers too much until I've got things where I want them. And then, because if I start doing fades on some things and not on others, then I get confused and I'll preview it and be like, oh no, I can't remember which that one is. And it is good to obviously label everything, but I still manage to get myself super confused a lot of the time. So if I do, I'm definitely like one thing at a time kind of person, too much on the go and I lose the plot entirely. So let's pop that one here. We'll go to the bubbles in a bit. I'm going to put those. I'm actually going to take the bubbles now and I'm going to put them on a different layer. So let's whack a layer here called bubbles because they're going to do something different on repeat in the background. And there's also, I seem to remember someone else doing something on repeat, but I can't think who that is right now. Okay, so just for argument's sake, let's just whack a couple more bits in and we'll move on to the next stage. I shrunk my screen, I can't see anything. Okay, let's put a fishy up here and a fishy over here. And of course, we want a little crab dude. I'm going to bring him to the front. So he's super easy to see. And maybe let's pop a little shell. Sorry, I'm really aware that my screen is going up and down. It might be making people a bit dizzy, so I'll try and stop doing that. Let's whack a little snail shell in the front as well. Oops. I can tell I'm still so nervous because things are going wrong. Let's pop him there. Out of the corner of my eye, I can see there's lots of emojis going on, so thank you for that. It's helping. Right, I'm just going to try and put the sand up a little bit so it's there. No, that's not what I want. I'm going to put the sand slightly behind, and I'm going to bring the sand castle up higher. Okay, no, my sand castle wants to sit above my sand castle base because it just looks a little bit nicer. As you can see, I faff around for ages, just tiny little movements just to get things just right. Right, let's put a little bit of seaweed in, and we'll put some background in, and then we'll move on. Okay, I'm just going to delete the rest of these pieces. I'm very aware on the time, so what I showed in the video is not going to be quite as complicated as that, but you will get the gist of how this is all going to come together. Then, like I say, you'll have access to everything, so you can go away and, I'm going to keep Nemo. So you can go away and have a little fiddle around and take my one apart so you can see how I built it as well, just in case this is not helpful at all. Let's go and insert the background. I've got some water just to make it look super pretty. Center back. Okay, so as it stands at the moment, we preview that nothing is going to happen. So I will work from the middle now because my focus, main focus is going to be on the sand castle, and that is going to just simply fly in from. Oh, sorry. That is just going to fly in from the bottom of the screen. But yeah, that's absolutely fine. I'm just going to preview that just to see if I've got things in the right order. Yeah, but then did you see that? It kind of came, you saw it just before you hit the main green base. So I'll redo that and make sure it's behind that green bit underneath. Do you know what? It's going to be easier if I just select all of that and bring that all to the front. We've got an extra hillside now. Okay, I will do the same thing now with all my other pieces. Some pieces, like if I brought this red piece of coral up on the motion path that just kind of fly in, it looks a little bit strange. So some things I'll just kind of have grow in or fade in. Zoom's always a nice one as opposed to grow. So we're just going to fade that one in. This set of rocks will fly in from the left. I kind of try and make things super layered so it just comes together really, really nicely that way. The seaweed, we can have that fly in from the bottom as well. But again, because things are flying in from the bottom, obviously check the layers, but we also want to make sure that they don't all come in at the same time, because it's just like cow, and you just don't get to see really where the main focus is. So I'll often bring in like all the little outside edges first, and then you got your big entrance from the sandcastle. So I'll stick that at 1.5. And obviously, if things look better coming in slower than faster, then change the effects there. Fly in from bottom. This little guy, we're just gonna have him zoom in. He can come in a little bit later, as can this guy. I didn't find this out until fairly recently, but if you double click on the animation painter, you guys probably already know this, you can copy everything you've done to that item there, and you can just kind of just pop it on everything and just keep clicking, and it would just paste it on everything. It's brilliant. I'm just going to undo that because I don't want the fish to come in that way. All these little tricks that I've never known before, and everyone's like, oh my goodness, yeah, that's just normal. I'm like, oh wow, I've only just found out about it. Right, we'll bring the coral to the front as well. He can probably just fly in from the right. Okay, did I do my rocks? Nope. they are going to fly in as well from the bottom. So let's just have a quick look at this and see if we've forgotten anything other than the little creatures. Again, my sandcastle is not coming in at the right time. So that needs to be above. Ah, yes, it needs to be above that one, right. So I'll select all of that in front and bring those to the front. And let's see how that looks. Nope. Let's see how that looks now. Okay, I think that's a little bit better, unless someone noticed something that I didn't there. Yep. Cool. So I'm just going to whack that effect on the shell and the sea star. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this little guy. Now then, what time is it? Okay, we'll move on to the bubbles next. Tell you what, I'm going to take this one away because it's going to interfere with what we can see. So if we go onto the bubbles layer, I always take dim off. I can't stand not being able to see things properly. And we put these here, just somewhere nice in the background. I think I actually used an animated GIF on the demo, but I haven't got that one handy right now. So yeah, a lot of the time, if I've got things going on in the background and they're moving, I've literally just used an animated GIF and I've popped it in, but always use a transparent one so you can layer it over things. And it just looks like this super cute little animation you've got going on that you worked really hard on. Hello?
Sorry, Emily, just really quickly, just while you're
Yes.
touching on that, what sort of software do you usually use to make your GIFs? Because I know it's a topic where everyone uses very different approaches. So I'd be really interested because yours always look really clean. My sort of history is a lot of them, they end up being exported and they're low quality or they're difficult to work with.
Yeah, or you get like the white edge around it.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, that is, I was touching more on that in my session tomorrow because I've got a load of animated GIFs in there, but I will usually use, oh my goodness, I can't remember what it's called. I will find the link and I will let you know. But a lot of the time, if I create my own animated GIFs, I will go and find a sprite sheet. If you go onto Vecteezy, Shutterstock and type in sprite sheet, walking or swimming, attack, fight, then you'll get loads of little stages of a person or creature or something doing the stage like, oh, it's about to hit something. And then you can take that away and put it into, I just use a free one online. What is it called? And I kind of just upload all the pieces and it does it for me, and I can choose to loop it or not loop it. And then you can take out backgrounds and choose how fast it does things. But like I said, I'm touching on that tomorrow. So if we can come
I'll
back
shut
to
up
that,
and go away. That's what
be
you're
awesome.
saying. You're trying very politely to tell me to go away, but I'll go.
No.
Do that now.
Thank you. But
Thanks.
yes,
No, that's
tomorrow.
brilliant.
Come to tomorrow's one. I've just thought I'm going to have to change that session slightly. Maybe I should do it more on that. Okay. So anyway, back to the bubbles. So I would originally I use animated GIFs, but in this instance we haven't got those. So for this session, we're just going to do some cute little fade in and fade out kind of effect here. So just fade in, real calm, just to give that nice little tranquil kind of feeling. Probably leave that the same. And this is another thing that I've only recently found out. They've changed, Storyline have changed things so that you can restart the timeline really easy, just like based on a trigger. And never used to have that. So all this time I've been making all these insane triggers and telling Storyline to do these really hard things that take forever. And now you can just, restart to the start of the timeline. Brilliant. So for this one, I've just put in a cue point. Yep. And then I'm going to create a new trigger when the timeline, bear with me. I can imagine someone shouting at the screen, it's there, it's there. Jump to time cue point, time out on this layer when the timeline reaches cue point 1 and then play timeline. So in effect, once we get onto this timeline now, that should just loop. So obviously we need to see that layer. So we go to new trigger on the main slide, jump to slide, show layer, bubbles, when timeline starts on this slide. So let's see. What's that? That's a 13-second. I tell you what, I'm just going to make that really short so we can preview a lot easier. So we should hopefully by, say, 5 seconds, it should just keep looping. Yeah, it's not as nice as the actual moving bubbles, but you get the effect that it's kind of trying to do. Yep, and that did it. Nice, because there's a little blip in there. Okay, so that is how we will do the bubbles. Now, let's move on to all the cute bits. My favorite bit. Now, here we have little Nemo. At the moment, he is behind the coral, and I quite like that because he's going to peek in and peek out. So what I will do with him is I will start adding motion paths. I will do a line, and I will change that path to right because he's going to come from off the screen and he's going to come sneaking in, then he's going to go back, then he's going to go forwards again. And he's just going to loop doing that the whole time. So I will make that a bit bigger. Let's make it 300 maybe. Oh no, bigger than that, 600. So he's going to poke his little noggin out there, and then I'm going to this is one thing that I always do because I've gotten such a mess not naming motion paths, because when you try and click on them after you've made about 6 or 7 on the same item, it's hard to actually click the right ones and actually rename them. So this one we're going to call right. And he's not going to come in super fast. He's just going to go in, mosey on past. And then path options, if we click relative start point, because that means when he then goes to, for those who don't know, when he then goes to do that motion path again, he won't blip back from where we started. He'll kind of do it naturally from where the last motion path ended. So he could just kind of just keep going in effect on and on and on, but just really nicely and not just jump all the way back and start again, jump and start again. So that is that motion path. But now we've got him coming in, we need him coming back again. So to get him to come back, I'm just going to click on the original one. And just remember 600, because I don't want him to kind of meander across the screen. I do want him to come all the way back from where he started and go off again in the exact same distance. So add motion path, lines. This time we want it to go to the right. And I'm going to make that 600 again. No, to the left, my apologies. I am left-handed, so I often get my left and right mixed up. Okay, 600. And again, let's make him go back slightly slower. And relative start point. And then we'll call that one left. And then we get to play with the triggers. So new trigger. Oh, sometimes it doesn't always work for me. I don't know if you guys find this as well. When I've got the item selected that I'm going to be talking about triggers on, it kind of pre-fills things for me, which does make things a bit faster. So move. At the moment he's called picture 9. I'm going to rename that so it's easy to find. Along right when timeline starts. We don't want him to come straight away because we want to see everything else come in, so we will change that when timeline reaches a certain point. Timeline reaches, say, 3 seconds. Okay, and then when that is done, this is where my head gets a little bit confused, so I have to concentrate. So now he's gone right, we need to move picture 9, little Nemo, along left when motion path, when media completes, possibly. Animation completes, apologies. Picture 9 on right. So now he'll go out and he'll come back in again, but the loop isn't finished yet because the intro one where he comes in, I've just thought there's a faster way of doing this, but for this sake, when he comes in, is just triggered by the timeline. So we need him, he's come back, now we need to send him off again, so then the loop will be complete. Hopefully that makes sense and I'm not being really confusing. I'm going to call him Nemo. So now we need to, he's just come back out again. Now we're going to move Nemo back along the right when animation completes, when the left one has completed. Okay, I think I've got it. Let's preview this and see if it works. So we should see Nemo any second now. Oh, I've done something wrong here. Right, let's try that again. Move Nemo along right. Ah, it's because that one's there. Yeah, by default, for some reason, whenever you put a motion path in, Storyline forces it like a default kind of thing of like it's going to move it along the motion path that you've just created as soon as the timeline starts, which to me is quite frustrating because I forget about it, obviously. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Oh, and it's done it with the left one. Sorry to all of you, all of you screaming saying, "Oh my goodness, you're such an idiot." But hopefully this will fix it. Come on, Nemo. There he is. So he's coming in and he should just gently go back out. And then if we've got this right, he'll come back in again and go out, and so on and so forth. Perfect. So I've got 15 minutes. We can apply the same principle to, I want to call him Jacques. I don't think that's his name in Finding Nemo, or the dude with the scar across his eye. But I'm not going to do that with him. We'll have a quick look at little Krabs Magoo here. You can see I've called him Krabs Magoo. Oh dear. We've got a little crab here. So for the crab, I think in the demo video, I made him kind of come onto screen and then disappear off again. This is kind of a tricky one because unless you're really, really good at freehanding things, the scribbles in Storyline are just kind of crazy. So if I just do like a nice, to me, it looks nice and gentle. Yeah, very nice. And it'll just slowly go off the screen. It's so jaggedy. Let's just see what happens with that. So it wasn't actually too bad. Obviously, super fast, like a speedy crab. If we change that to like really slow, so he just kind of moseys on around. And it's really difficult for me to line things up as well. A lot of the time, I will print my screen and then bring it into Storyline and change the opacity so I can line things up perfectly, and then use the cursor keys slightly left, slightly right, up a bit, down a bit. Not a very technical way of lining things up. Yeah, see, he's all super jaggedy. You can smooth it out a little bit by orienting it. That might make it go super strange though. Wow, yeah, we do not want to do that. Oh, poor crab. So let's get rid of that motion path. And let's instead try using a curve, a turn. If we bring him in here, we want him to kind of curve onto the screen and follow the curvature of the rocks that are around. So we can have him going upwards, but we don't want that. We want him going down. This is not working the way it's supposed to. For argument's sake, let's just have him walking along the bottom and coming up a little bit. And we don't need to do relative start point on this one because he's just going to walk in and walk out again. He's not doing a loop. Let's see how that looks. So as you can see, I literally preview everything after every stage just to make sure things are actually working the way that I want them to. So he came down and up, and now we want him just to gently curve off the screen again. So add motion path. So we can do an arc. Now this is where it gets interesting for me. I always try and line up. So the green is the starting point and the red is the end point. I will try and line up my green to red. If anyone knows a faster way and a more precise way of doing this, please let me know, because it does get very difficult. And then it gets a bit blippy, which gets me quite upset. I like things so smooth and so nice. So if it's and you see something flash in and out because it's not quite lined up, I find it very upsetting. We're going to change the arc to, oh dear, to an up arc when we get him back. Now you can do the relative start point here, but you kind of have to guess the curve because it does it over in this side, which is why I dragged it over here. It's not much of a curve, but you see, I'm just trying to line up the red with the green blobs. Okay, so this is going to be, we'll call this one away because he's going away now. And this one is screen. Anything, label them anything that makes sense to you. And then we want to move Krabs Magoo along, away. When the animation completes, only when he's done his on-screen animation. So let's see how that is. Ah, there it is again. See, storyline automatically putting in when timeline starts things for you. Move, yeah, no, don't want that one. Right, let's try that again. Here's old Krabs Magoo. And away he goes. So it's not as pretty as I would like, but just for a super quick demo, hopefully that explains things a little bit for you guys. And I think, unless anyone's got anything that I've missed there that I said I was going to talk about in this session, I think that is everything done for this demo. And if anyone's got any questions, so I'm looking over here because I can see a screen with questions on instead of looking up here. Sorry, Tom. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, no, that was awesome. Do you know what? There are a few people that have mentioned it in the chat. Actually, I had a couple of people message me separately, saying how nice it was to see someone actually not sit here and go, yes, well, being an expert in this topic, you shall listen unto me, and I shall tell you the right way to do it. But to actually just see someone go through the process of working in a tool like Storyline.
Oh, nice.
And it was a discussion we had before. So I'll kick off the question by kind of jumping in until, well, if you've got questions, now's the time, people. But I really want to know, when you're right at the start of the process, when you kind of go looking for your files, I also do use like free pick, places like that. What do you look for in those files? Because in my experience, some of them are, let's say, better than others.
Yeah, definitely. There's certainly sometimes I've seen an image, I'm like, oh my goodness, that is going to work so awesome. And then when I break it apart, it's not in chunks. You know, you ungroup things and it's actually like, I don't know, I don't do the actual what's the word, illustration side of things. I just steal other people's work, take it apart and remake it. So to actually illustrate something, it kind of comes apart in pieces. So you think, oh, that's a nice picture of a cat. And then you think, I'll just take its head or I take its tail and take its feet off. That sounds awful. I wouldn't do that in real life. And then, but actually it's like the shading of the ear is one piece. And then the nose is about 3 different pieces. And then I just have to scrap that and I will go back and find something that downloads better. As long as it's an EPS, it's usually okay, or made for Illustrator. But it's kind of trial and error. I do end up scrapping a lot of things and starting with something else and changing my idea. But I just kind of grab anything that takes my fancy. I'll just scroll through. Dribble is a really good place for ideas as well. I think it's spelled with 3 B's. Dribble. And yeah, awesome for getting inspiration from as well. I get most of my inspiration from video games and just bright kids stuff, and because we've got 2 kids as well, so it's ideal for me, just brightness everywhere.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I think this is really great. I know there's a lot of topics you want to cover in the second session, which I know I'm really looking forward to. So, I mean, I'll just give a moment just for any more questions anyone might want to put in here, or if you're watching on YouTube, I know there's a slight delay. So if you are watching there and have questions, now is the time. Just really quickly, if we want to get in touch with you, see what you're up to, where's best to do that?
Anywhere. I suppose I'm most active on LinkedIn these days, although because I've got so much going on, I do take a day or 2 to get back to people. So please don't think I'm ignoring anyone. I'm not a rude person at all. Or you can get me directly at emily@teamchorley.com. I have just realised I've still got like 20 minutes because I thought a session finished at 1 o'clock. I can very quickly go into some animated GIFs if that helps. Would that be
I
any
mean,
good?
well, I'm gonna speak for me and say, yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
interested in your process for that.
Okay. Right. Please. Can I just put you on a? I'll be right back while I just load up everything I need on the screen. Is that okay?
How prepared is that? You've got an "I'll be right back" screen.
Oh, hang on. Have I though? I might not. Let's see what this looks like. Pow! You can still hear me, yeah?
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, okay. I will not talk while I'm doing this then. Or maybe I should. Yeah, carry on talking. Let me find everything I need.
Yeah, well, there we've got some comments coming in now saying people are interested, so that's good.
Awesome.
If not, you guys can just stop listening, and this can just be a session for me. That's fine.
Awesome. So you can probably hear my keyboard clicking like mad now. Animated GIF creator. EZGIF.com/maker. This is the one I use. Right. Let me now just find a little sprite sheet. Maybe I will use the same one that I've got for tomorrow's session. Right. Sorry, bear with me. So it's gone very quiet.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's a couple of people asking for links, so we'll share some links once we're back.
Is that something I can do from here, or shall I pass them to you?
You can drop it straight into the chat.
Okay.
So we can see there.
It looks like a really kind of simple program to use. Like it looks a little bit too simple. Like, oh, you can't do anything with this, surely, to my eye, because I'm so visual. I'm like, oh, where's all the nice kind of bright, professional kind of looking stuff? But
yeah. Sometimes that's the way it goes. Yeah. I really really like that analogy there from Tom Condon, who said it's like listening to a mechanic going through their toolbox trying to find that special spanner. I think we all do this, right? Like when we're sat in our offices and we're trying to figure out how to do something or why something's not doing what it should be doing or what we think it should be doing. I know I quite often sit there and sometimes my wife will come in and go, "Who are you talking to?" It's like, oh, it's just me. I'm just talking myself through the challenge.
It's funny because it's not until I have to run through and talk about what I'm doing that I realize how much backwards and forwards I do myself. Like, oh, that didn't work. I'll try it again. Okay, then. Oh, hang on. I'm coming back. Hello, I'm back. Because going backwards and forwards on my own work is second nature. I'm like, yep, didn't work. Edit, undo, retry, and I do things. I never do things right the first time. Like to do what I did there, I'd have done that 4 or 5 times in the real world before I actually get where I want to. So I never get things done perfectly. Right, very quickly, we've got 15 minutes. We should have plenty of time for this. Now I've only done this a couple of times, so again, bear with me in case it doesn't go to plan. So I've got this sprite sheet. It took me ages to understand. A sprite sheet is basically a step-by-step movement phase of a character, an action, the same thing that will create a loop of it doing something. Very technical. I'm going to take out all the little faces on these little dogs because I don't like extra things in the background if I can help it. And often in Illustrator, I never use the main, it's got a name this has, the white bit. I will usually just take everything off the page. I don't know why, just force of habit, I think. So you've got a sprite sheet, you've brought it in Illustrator, and then we don't actually need to name them. I'm taking them one by one, so it picks up asset 1, asset 2, and it does them in order. Chances are if I took them all and did them, it would probably put them in order anyway, but I don't want to take that chance. So from the looks of it, this little dude is going to be running and then skipping, or is this 2 separate phases actually? Is this a skip phase and a run phase? Well, let's just take all of them and see what happens. So I've highlighted all of those and I'm going to export them. Sorry for my very messy file system. I'm just going to have to put them on the desktop for a minute. New folder. And let's put our doggo in there. Okay, and then this is the website. So it's EZGIF.com. I don't know if it's GIF or GIF. If I read that, I would say it was GIF, but I have always said GIF. So this website.com/maker. And straight away you get select images, choose files. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab all my little doggos right here. And the beauty of sprite sheets is most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they are made so you don't have to faff around with changing background sizes or anything. Because sometimes you'll find that one pose is wider than another pose because an arm's up or an axe is flying, and then it kind of skews things. But I have found that this website is really good for keeping everything the right size. So I've uploaded my 9 files, and then I just click the blue button. I'm getting a warning, what I was just saying about they're not all the same size, because I suppose this one where he's running with his arms and his ear in the air, that's going to be wider than one where he's got both his hands down. So I'm going to ignore that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to align them by the bottom to see if, first of all, hang on, right, let's just test out what we've got so far. So you press that button there. Now you've got all kinds of crazy going on here. We don't want them to stack, so we don't want them to appear on top of each other. We just want one at a time. So we'll click that one. And I never click the first frame as a background because that one gets stuck in the background again. And then click again. And there's your little dude kind of walking. I think that needs to be aligned. So we go back up here to the options, gravity alignment. We go to, let's try, this is trial and error again, bottom middle. And then you need to keep clicking this button to reenact the changes. I think that looks a bit better, but he's a little bit blippy. So let's change the delay time to 10 seconds. Oh, now he kind of looks like he's got a bit of a limp. Try 15. And you can kind of make things slightly different depending on where you change some settings. Now that just looks like he's definitely got a limp. So we'll leave him with a limp anyway. Actually, let's change it back to 18. That's a little bit better. And from here, all you need to do is quite good, but you can see it's a little bit jaggedy around the edges. There's a few options here that you can do things with, but all I do now is I'll right click, oh, not open it, save the image. Let's call him Doggo. And then we can open up storyline. It's going to be weird, a doggo underwater. And then we'll go and find him. And lo and behold, I'll tell you what, we'll even make him, if we put him over that side of the screen and then give him an entrance of a fly in from the left, say 8 seconds. He might be a speedy dog, I'm not sure. And let's see what happens now. And there he goes. Da, da, da. And that is how I do my animated GIFs. Oh, I've still got like 10 minutes left. Any more questions, or can I show anyone anything else, or anything you've ever wanted to ask?
That went down very well.
It did. That
People
went down better than my other one.
Yeah, no, that was so good.
Yeah.
That's such a cool tool, that that EZGIF site. I can see a couple of people mentioning it in the comments. I feel like that may well end up being one of the big resources from the event that we all go and use, because that is so quick and easy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I don't know how I stumbled on it from a game ages ago. And you can find sprite sheets anywhere. People make their own. Years and years ago when I was at school, we used to use Bitmap and Teddytronics, I think we called it, or something. And this reminds me of that, where you just fill in each little square to create the little characters. But then as long as you can get the phases, let's have a look here. There's a running one there. Some of these are not very good. Running Santa. There you go. And tomorrow you'll see my little mush dude, because it's so cute. I feel quite bad doing it, turning him into a baddie, because when you hit the little mushroom, he squashes down and he flattens. But it's so cute.
And this is it. It's going to be a really, really exciting session tomorrow. It sounds like we're going to be going a little bit further than we have today as well.
Yeah, I'm glad we've actually covered this, because I was a bit worried by bringing in my pre-made animated GIFs that I wouldn't have time to cover how to do it. But there we go. It'll be okay.
Well, I think the consensus is definitely that if you hadn't have told us, we'd never have known this was the first time you'd run a session.
Thank goodness.
Awesome. So, I mean, everyone, as we said, there are resources in the Google Drive from Emily for this session and the one for tomorrow. Do go and connect with her on LinkedIn. The stuff she posts is fantastic. And the things on, I think you've got Pick and Mix Creator coming out soon.
Well, there is a bit of a story behind that. For years, I've been desperate, because I'm a one-man band. I am Team Chorley. I am Mrs. Team Chorley. My husband is Mr. Team Chorley. But he's learned everything from watching me do things over the past few years since we moved out here to Portugal. So everything you see on Pick and Mix is pretty much built by me from the get-go, from the ground up. And it's taken a long time to get where I am now. But then I got hacked and it all went wrong. So I put kind of a pin in that and stressed crazy. And I'm coming back now. My husband's busy populating all the sites, creating a load of slides for it, because he is like getting better and better. The more I do, the more he sees of mine, and he starts doing stuff as well. And I'm like, hey, how'd you do that? Where'd you learn how to do that? Because if it's me, if I don't know how to do something, I just Google it, and somewhere out there's generally an answer that explains how to do it. But I'm coming back with Pick and Mix Creator, which is basically for people who do not know how to use Storyline or anything, but they've got information they want to get out there into an e-learning course. And so they can choose the slides that they want, and we will create that course for them based on what they've chosen. And I'm coming back with Pick and Mix templates, which are all my style, the style that we build together, mini games, all sorts of stuff that you guys can then download and take them apart, use them for your own stuff, kind of like Vecteezy, but for slides. And then I'm going to also be doing, assuming that this is well received, Pick and Mix tutorials, where I'm going to go in depth with specific things that everyone keeps asking me about and teach people how to use stuff. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So, massive plug.
Hey, why not? I'm certainly going to. On that note, no. One thing I would say, there's people asking the chat about about the doggo sprite sheet and the GIF.
Yes.
Could you send those over to me, and I'll pop them in with your other resources?
I certainly can. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. So we can all take away the limping underwater doggo.
Yes. And I want to see it in everyone's underwater scenes. If anyone does try this, please let me know how you get on. I would love to see, send me what you've done, because it'd be awesome just to see how well I've done it, explaining stuff to you guys.
Yeah, so we've got some messages coming in. How do we get those pictures? I think someone's already answered it for you. Just loads of people saying how great this chat has been. So,
thank you very much. You've made my first experience very good. I've been so worried.
You're a lovely audience, guys. Well done.
Yeah. Yay. No, hand clap to you guys. Thank you.
Well, Emily, thank you so much. We'll finish this one here. Our next talk, we've got a little bit of a break. It is at 1:40. And that's when we return for The Hero and Their Journey is Dead. With Darren Give, who's going to be talking to us about storytelling. I'm really looking forward to this session. We had a chat very late last night because apparently we both work into the small hours, and it's going to be great. In the meantime, in the gap, make use of the speed networking area, grab a seat, or completely log off and go and grab a coffee, or if it's suitably late in the day where you are, grab a beer or beverage of your choice. I know I'm watching the clock and very much looking forward to that later on. Thanks again, and we shall see you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.